So today I want to talk about competition. I think today is going to be a game changer. It's going to be interesting to see how you guys take in this information, because I want to go a different route than I'm pretty sure most of you have went as it relates to competition. So the name of the theme is, or when it comes to competition, the highest form of competition is not the competition with the opposition. The highest form of competition is the competition with yourself, right? And many of us have thought that if there's a line drawn in the sand, I'm on one side and somebody's on the other side, then that means that the opposition, it's important that I beat the opposition. It's important that I showed the opposition up. It's important that I outlast the opposition. It's important that I defeat or I outlast the opposition, right? And we have had a ton of coaches tell us, like, listen, what are you going to do about this guy? Well, how are you going to stop this guy? How are you going to score on this guy? How are you going to handle this matchup? I'm a basketball player. As a defensive player, my coach was always telling me, you got to slow that guy down. You got to make sure that guy stops. We got to make it tough for him to score. I never once heard my coach say, Marv, I want you to prove to yourself that you are as good in reality as you are in your mind. I want you to prove to yourself that you are the person in your mind that you are in reality. I want you to prove to yourself that you can stop anything in sight. I don't care how scorching hot somebody might be. I don't care how many points they score. I don't care what the win streak is. I don't care what the scoring streak is. I don't care how hot. I want you to prove to yourself, Mark, that you can score, that you can stop this dude. I never heard anybody talk to me like that. I only heard people say, what are you going to do about him? And so what happens is when we go into competition, that's all we're thinking about. Can we stop this guy? But the highest form of competition has nothing to do with the opposition. The highest form of competition has everything to do with you. So we're going to talk about how you compete against yourself, right? And why it's important. The first thing is this. When you guys think about competing, right, and you're going against the best or you want to be the best, I'm going to tell you a little secret. The best don't focus on the opposition. What they want to do is they want to focus in on and gain access to the brain trust that has invested in them. What I mean by that is you got a ton of coaches giving you a ton of advice. And when you are operating on the highest level, when you compete on the highest level, you want access to all that information, all that intelligence, all that genius. Because the second that I take my eyes off of all that information, all that coaching, all that genius, and I put it on the opposition, I lose sight of what's really important. I got to respect my opponent. I respect my opponent in the film room. I'm going to respect my opponent when we're practicing. When I'm looking at the coach and he's going through the scout team, he's telling me what this guy's going to do, what this guy's going to do. Here's his talent, here's his tendencies, here's his strengths and weaknesses. I'm paying attention to my opponent. But when it's time to compete, I can't focus in on my opponent because the chances are that if I focus in on my opponent, I'm going to forget everything that my coach told me. Now, here's the thing. You're not just being coached by your coach. If I told you right now, your current coaching staff, and let's talk about football, how many people is on that staff, if I told you, hey, ask these guys how many people have coached them throughout their life. You probably come back with a list of probably over at least 400 or 500 names, right? We're talking about every coach that has coached your coach, you probably get about 500 names. And we just talk about the football team. So not only are you being coached by your coach, but you're being coached by their coach. There's an incredible amount of brain trust and minds and geniuses and preparation that have went into coaching you. So when you're competing, you want access to all that information. You want access to that incredible brain trust. Because trust and believe, somebody thought long and hard about how to make you successful. They thought long and hard about how to take all your strengths and amplify them and upgrade them. So why would you take your eye off the brain trust and focus on the opposition? The next thing, we talked about discipline in the last video. You got to be disciplined and make sure that you are looking for bulletproof concepts. Bulletproof concepts is this. I want to figure out what concepts work on 98 to 99% of the field. I'm not focused on the concepts that only work against 75%. They only work against 85%. No. I want to figure out what concepts work against 98 to 99% of the field. I want those concepts. Tell me what those moves look like. Tell me what those processes, tell me what that strategy looks like. Tell me what that workout regimen looks like. I want to know what's going to make me successful 98 to 99% of the time. I want to master that. And if I figure that out and I've been working on that, why would I ever compromise that technique? Discipline. Why would I ever compromise a technique that works on a high percentage of the field? I'd be stupid to say, nah, you know what? I'm going to take this concept that works and use something else. No. So I want to make sure that I'm locked in on my brain trust. I want to bring all the attention back to me and what my coaches told me to do. I want to bring all the attention back to my training, my preparation. I want to bring all that attention back to me. Number one, I'm not focusing on my opposition. I'm going to focus in on me. The highest form of competition is a competition with myself. Second of all, I want to make sure that I'm disciplined, and I want to make sure that I am executing and exercising bulletproof concepts. Not working on, I'm not going to apply something that only works against half of the field. And here's the last thing, man. You got to respect your opponent. So I'm not telling you just ignore your opponent. You got to, I told you, when in the film room, respect your opponent. Learn everything you possibly can about them. When it's practice time and coach is going through some sort of scheme trying to give you a look, with every bit of your imagination that you can, you got to take this person who you know is nowhere near what you're going to face at game time, but you got to imagine that that's what that person looks like. So that when it's game time, you're ready. You've seen this guy before. Not only have you seen him, you've seen yourself be successful against them. Last thing, guys. Last thing, and I'm gonna jet out. Give you a quick little analogy, because this is, again, when we think about competition, we always want to beat somebody versus show ourselves what we are capable of. I'm a basketball guy, as you all know. Basketball coach has his starting four. He needs one more guy, looking for a two guard. He's got three versions of the two guard. He's got a slasher, a guy who always to the cup, right off the bounce into the cup. He got a playmaking two guard who likes to play pick and roll, get to the lane, drive and dish, occasionally score, so on and so forth, right? And then you got a catch and shoot two guard, like a Klay Thompson type. This guy ain't trying to put the ball on the deck. He just want to run off screens, catch and shoot, space the floor out, drive, off a backdoor cut, catch and shoot, right? The slasher sees the shooter shooting and making shots. The coach compliments the shooter, so then the shooter starts saying, I better get my shot together. Okay, so he starts trying to see, I can even get my shot together. But then the shooter, he sees the coach complimenting the playmaker on how well he comes off the screen, reads the help side guy, and finds the open man. So then the catch and shoot guy says, I want to work on my pick and roll game. That's gonna make me nice. Coach gonna love me if I do that. And then the pick and roll guy, he's not really a good shooter, right? Not really a good shooter, but he sees the shooter shooting shots. He sees the coach complimenting him. So what he does, he starts trying to take a bunch of threes. You got three guys that all are special at something, but what they do is they try to modify their game and change up their game in hopes to get looked at by the coach. It's because they were competing with someone else. They weren't competing with themselves. The objective is to say, if I'm a slasher and that guy's a shooter, you want to prove to the coach and you want to prove to yourself, I slash better than he shoots the ball. Or I shoot the ball better than that guy play makes. And then you got to leave it up to coach. But you got to prove to coach, I can make this offensive scheme work better as a slasher than he can as a shooter. And again, it's more about you proving yourself right. It's proving yourself right. Within the scheme of whatever the coach told you to do, within the scheme of whatever the coach has created, it's about proving yourself right. You want to prove to yourself that this person that you are in here, you are in reality. And that goes back to, I'm not focusing on the opposition. I want to focus in on myself. I hope that makes sense. It's not about being selfish. It's not about being selfish, but it's about taking all of the energy off of the opponent and putting back the focus, all the energy, all the concentration back into yourself so that you can gain access to that brain trust, that incredible brain trust. Every drill, every bit of advice that anybody is giving you, you want to make sure that you gain access to that so that you can apply it on the highest level under pressure. That makes sense? Guys, got any questions? Did anything that I say